Hi everybody, today's discussion is about the trapezoid and its importance in terms of certain fundamental events, how it's implemented in projecting a certain ideology into the realm. Why is it that there are repeated events that are constantly happening, and despite things that happen in between to try and alter it, why do those things still happen? Why do they still think they can do what they do? Um, it's not just that simple. There's more to it, but I'm just giving you an example of the power that is behind operating a mechanism that is used for purposes. The last video that I made, the Temple of Set, obviously created a lot of stirring. There was a lot of upset. People that were probably worshipping that thing. And so this one is going to be explaining to you how this thing operates and what it exactly is. But before I do that, I need to explain to you, first of all, how to think, because only then will you be able to have the understanding of seeing that the trapezoid is also related to the arc of light, which I will bring up much later. Also, something much more important, the vital aspect to this is when spirit leaves the physical vessel and or comes here through the integration of the gateway or the arc of light. Some come through there, and these are then living here. Not all go through that. I very much I thought about this and how to bring it across or share it. Is it everyone that's gone through these arc of lights, or is it just some? In order for us to understand the importance of the use of the trapezoid, we need to understand the way of thinking. And the way of thinking is based on a metaphysical perspective. Now, metaphysical perspective, if you really want to go to the academic version, then go and investigate and read all Aristotle's books and all the other metaphysicians around his time, and you'll get the understanding that if you look at something, it is not just what you see, but it does have certain qualities to it, and it connects with you in a certain way, and you connect with it in a certain way, and certain elements are used like that. This is how the information in this realm is also created. Malevolent forces, psychics, whatever you want to call it, witches, warlocks, sorcerers, continuously are using this principle. Metaphysics is not a thing. It's not like it's not magical. It's not about magical thinking. Metaphysics is about a science in how to understand a specific principle and or element, and based from that, what are you finding, your findings from it. The importance of metaphysics is not only the highest science of all things, but also the study of reality and the way of exploring reality within its finest and intricate parts. So the key, it is the highest study of everything, of all things from within the and around within the spirit, and its interaction with you around you. Okay. So key components to understand are based on perspective, preconceived modes of observation, thinking and reasoning. Mundane three-dimensional observation is too limited if you are wanting to understand the following information. So the general human perspective of anything is based on preconceived subjectivity, which is how information is brought across to you. It's not just it's not just what you see and learn and read from. It is what consensus is created for you to believe in. Okay? This is why it's so different in the material that I'm explaining to you, because material is not based on me trying to sell anything to you like some channels try to do that. I'm telling you what I know from my investigations and from my perspectives. You decide what you want to think on or not. I don't even invade your thoughts like some people do. They try to invade your thoughts. They try to live vicariously through you as well. This is what they do. Okay, so the general human perspective of anything is based on perceived subjectivity. Subjectivity to and within a reality is to be understood as, or observed, even reasoned or experienced, expressed, gone through, etc., etc., etc. I'm talking about the experience in how you investigate something. Okay, that is what that means. Okay, and so how you experience this process depends where you are in relation to it. It's very important to understand that your experience is related to your proximity to it. That's logical, right? Are you able to observe the event? Were you actually there when it happened without it consuming you, or are you overwhelmed by it? When they send pictures around, are you actually there in the picture? Do you go and live there? Do you go and invade that space because you're so afraid you need to go into that picture? It's a form of projection, but I'll explain later. Every event in its essence has a certain substance and essence to it, which allows the observer or experience to distinguish the self from it or not. And therefore the general consensus of human perspective is that humanity observes and draws conclusions from data or information from what has been observed. It is the gathering of conclusions that need to be discerned. And this mode of observation is perception based. The reason I'm explaining all of these ways of looking at things and thinking of things, it is very important for you to understand the way that this frequency operates and how it is done, so that you will be in this consumer state, so that you are constantly in the reception mode for it without actually using your brain or your intelligence at all. If you don't understand how to think, then you have a problem. You can have as much degrees and pedigrees on your name. If you do not know how to think, you do not know how to understand, you are unable to observe what is actually happening and versus what you're being told that is happening. Okay. What you're being shown what is happening versus what you know is actually happening. Okay. Observation is therefore made based on emotion, mental subjectivity, and objectivity, and these terms are based on or as perceptions. So when you look at something and you think about it and you feel a certain way when you look at it, that is a perception. Okay. Therefore, thinking and observing is limited, as it inhibits the true observation of all things, what they are in true essence versus what they are perceived as. In simple, the general observation of all things can oftentimes be limited or overwhelming if you do not have control over yourself, which is why things are the way that they are, which is why there are so many things happening. And it's mass hysteria because the masses do not have reality consensus. In here, they've given consent to the reality around them. They don't have observational. It's like a mindless herd. and it keeps moving around like a school of fish. Every time, whenever this happens, there's this masses going to one side, then this happens, then masses going to that side. It's like it's actually quite interesting to see how how people behave. So observation means to look and see, and means to use frequency or energy from within to actually use energy to look and see. So you have light inside of you, you will look with light outside of you, and when you look at with light inside of you out to something, that thing, depends on how it triggers you or how it affects you, will return the light straight back to you with a little picture in your head and an interaction with it. I find it disturbing that it's important to bring up this information, because there is such limited understanding in how to think. This is not, the trapezoid is not about this, but this is about the fundamentals to actually keep in mind with regards to how I'm going to explain the trapezoid. Okay, so energy is also light in frequency. Light connects and interacts to light. Okay, it does not mean that because you are having light inside of you and you're looking at in there, that you are a light bringer. Talking about luminiferous ether does not mean that you are a light bringer. It means you are a light receiver. Okay? Do not get tangled up with the archetypes that I've discussed many years ago. It's on my channel. That it's an archetype of light imploding upon itself. It's not a physical entity or a perceived worshipped entity. The Luciferian agenda is very upset because they don't have a thing to worship. They don't have a Lord of Light to worship. So they worship themselves, and they worship what they can give and get from people. That's all it is. That's how cults work. That's how these societies work. They need the continuous focus is on the mystery of something that is outside or that is there with them, that they have in control. So they use it. They commit in things in the image of that thing. That's all it is. It's not even the thing is not even there. They may have communication or communion with spirits, which they call this demon so and so or demon so and so, and that's actually the issue. You are just communicating with a spirit that's passed on and has been slotted into an agency for your perusal. You like the coffee in that way, so therefore you will have communication and communion with that specific coffee. Light connects and interacts to light. Very important to understand that energy is also light in frequency. Light can also be diluted or diluted to affect energy of the way light is perceived or experienced. Therefore, light can be modified. It can. Energy, if not understood internally, creates light in the form of refraction. This leads to catastrophic delusions or illusions. The vital importance to be able to see beyond refraction. In other words, to see beyond your self-delusion, is to see what is actual without becoming delusional about knowing what is actual or caught up in the illusion. There is currently a lot of delusion happening. This leads towards the ability to explore then. If you're not one of those and you are in control of yourself and you are able to know what you know, instead of running after red herrings, because there's a lot of those, they are essentially there for you to run after. If you are not caught up in the illusion, you will be able to explore hyperdimensionality. If you are caught up in the illusion, you will be absorbed by hyperdimensionality. Hyperdimensionality, or the hyperdimension, is when you are able to see into the reality and recognize what the pyramid is really. Not what it looks like, or because you see what it looks like and because you've investigated for millions of years that that's what it is. No, no. You can see more about it. You can see beyond the only visible spectrum that is presented to you. That you are able to see light in different frequencies, and you are able to recognize the ideologies that is around it, and you're able to recognize some details beyond their belief systems of that thing. So you can look at the whole thing and really make it bigger for yourself, and you'll be able to look at all the details in it. So hyperreality is what is perceived and experienced during hyperfocus of light from within and without of reality. Very important to understand this. Why? I will explain now. Because then you are able to understand, why does this matter to you? Why do you need to know this? Because then you know how to explore things that are around you in this reality without it consuming you. People become consumed by the very thing that they are investigating. That's what happens. They lose themselves, and this is where that whole thing about the rabbit hole comes from, is the more you look, the more you go after the bunny, the more you get swallowed up by the hole. That's just what it is. So you require groundedness within yourself. You require an awareness that you do not become swallowed up by consensus reality, which means belief systems that people give for people to believe in, such as fear, trauma is used, obviously. The realm becomes a little bit more different when you understand and think in such a way. I'm not telling you how to think. I'm telling you, use a little bit more common sense and a little bit more awareness, and don't lose your nut. Stay in your ship and look at everything around you and do not become swallowed up by it. Okay, and maybe this whole part is based on just bringing you back to yourself, back into yourself, and not, although there are some that are extremely invested in normie land, and they always will be invested in normie land. So this is why I always say the realm is not spherical, not flat, not this, not that, because it's all based, those are all things that are based on those people's reality consensus, what they have consent to have in their reality. I'm observing this in a different way. I'm observing it for its entirety without becoming swallowed up by everyone else's little narrative. Because that's basically what metaphysics means, is do not get sucked in. You can look at everything, but don't get sucked in. And you will have the power to be able to observe and draw your own conclusions without being sucked in, without taking part in it even. The most important thing to be mindful of, if you are aware of how to observe, is there is no thing that is ever as solid as it appears to be, or what you think it to be, or your perceptions of it. The realm and all of its elements, its contents, okay, within it is to some effect skewed and curved and watery and fiery and spongy and airy, dense and spatial, compressed and decompressed continuously. These are things that are related to it because of masses in movement, while not limited, active within fields of compression and decompression of light. All it is light going like this. Okay? That is it, because you see it that way. Some worship that, of course, we know that they do. uh, electricity and magnetic or dielectric, reflective, deflective, and then people get all upset because you don't use the right words, etheric, and so much more. Metaphysics of the human inside is and within its own torus. That's it. Nothing more than that. The next image, metaphysics in the metaphysical realm inside the torus, which is where you live, your realm. The egg field is the system overlay. The system overlay is crystallinum. Within the system overlay are planets or planes or artifacts of heavenly bodies, or whatever you want to call it, that proceed according to the program for season and time, and there will be more on this later. Metaphysics does not mean meta. Meta means dead, and it's also the first part of the word metaphysics. They study the dead. They don't study life. They don't study everything. Okay, and the word meta is a word that was used to connect to an image, which means, in short, you're looking at meta as the meaning of dead image, and nothing more about that. And what is a dead image? When it has a purpose, then it is a living image. When there is no purpose to it, it is a dead image. You have to think in that way now. That's why I'm explaining it to you. When there are belief systems that are focused on a dead image, it becomes alive. It has a birthing process. That's how it works. That is how their magic works. Okay, you have to think in this way that I'm explaining to you. Remember, light projecting into an image of belief becomes a ritual or a religion. A ritual is given life when projections happen from your spirit's interaction through your eyes to it. Okay? Therefore, a death of the image of man means the image of man becomes obsolete. What is in its place is an artificial image of man, man's digital straw man. That is a meta, dead image, artificially made alive, a golem. Therefore, a death of the image of man, or the ritual of the death of the image of man, is the death of man's authentic original self. That's what they want. They want man to get wiped out. So they'll draw pictures of man and then they'll wipe it out. And there's the ritual of wiping man out. So the same thing happens to looking at people and thinking about them and then actually using their image to do certain things with. This is part of that last video that I made where I explained about the image, the rituals that are done in the name of image. That is important to understand. It is a form of magic. Okay? The realm also operates within the etheric frequencies, within the elements and fundamental building blocks in the material, while its origin comes from the internal experience while utilizing your internal light frequency with it. What I feel inside of me, I'm looking at something that's dead, I suddenly become, that's what it means. And it becomes alive inside of my thoughts. And it comes in here and I start to write about it. And then I talk about it and then I share it with people and then it suddenly becomes alive. And you've just given birth to a child. That is how you must think. That is how it works. Okay? It requires you to have a little bit of abstract thinking and actually to go with that thought. The material reality is fed by the spirit. What is flat needs to be fed by what is inside of you into it, consuming one another. This is why the world is in is closed, because there's no other way to do it outside. So you're trapped inside while feeding one another constantly. However, there are ways to get out and to not even become part of it. It really is that simple. The less emotional energy you have invested in the mundane reality without it controlling you, the stronger you become. It is true. So as I've said, that is the reason why the realm is closed, because obviously it's set up that way. There is no shortcut in understanding the information. If you do not understand what the Taurus is or how it operates, you will not understand how the trapezoid functions. And it is required from you to have that ability, the capability to understand the principles of it. That is why I am explaining to you the way you need to perceive without becoming trapped by it, because it is that ability that helps you in the long run when you are thinking of yourself, within yourself, when you focus, when you give love to yourself, when you function in self-care, that you are able to see what there is inside of you versus what there is outside of you. Essentially, I do not say that there is nothing outside of you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying all of these things that you're experiencing are all things that are related to projectionism that comes from people's thinking on dead images and making it something that is actual in their lives, and it touches your energy. It affects you in some way. This is also why when people really get to the deeper parts of themselves that they don't want to go into, they don't want to go through that process, they don't want to see themselves. People are afraid of looking into themselves because they're afraid of what looks back at them. This is why I can say with almost 100% certainty that if you are unable to connect with yourself fully, the way that I'm trying to help you to connect with yourself fully, up to you to decide how you do it. But the fact is, if you're unable to even reflect back into yourself, to look at what you've achieved, who you are, and where you're going in your life, and that almost 100% of these things that happen around you are because of projections from people, things, places, elements, images, and you are able to, like I said, 100% certainty that you will become sucked in by all of these things around you if you do not come back into yourself and root yourself into you. Abstractly, okay? Metaphysically, that is why I'm saying that. If you cannot do that, then you are going to be led around and be subjected to any and all kinds of things that come at you. It's very important to understand the specific principle, because we are entering into a time period which will be full of red herrings. A lot. It'll be like all over the place. And you can become sucked in by all of these things if you do not stand strong within who you are. Okay, remember that. They worship the trapezoid. They use the image of the trapezoid as an image that they keep bringing things in for people to fall for. Okay. It is, as we are aware, a closed system. A closed system, when filled up with a lot of belief systems and magical thinking, creates delusional projection on people for feeding, and this is because they are afraid to lose control. Okay. You will get people that will be worshipping the material realm because that is where they feel they matter the most. So it is easier to try to project energy and live vicariously through your spirit as well. That is the next thing that you need to be mindful of. If you give consent to a belief system, then that belief system becomes inherently part of you. It's how a contract happens. It doesn't just fall out of the sky from some ancestral thing, although ancestral background in your life where you come from does play a controlling role over your life, whether it's good or bad. It does affect your life. So you are therefore subjected to that event, and it operates in your conscious, subconscious, and your immediate environment, because you are perpetually projecting that information out. So you can either sabotage yourself without even knowing about it, or you can be part of it. This is how these things work. However, what makes the information on this channel extremely unique is the fact that I'm able to explain to you things in a metaphysical way that I have observed and learned from many years. This is more than 30 years of research and experiencing it and doing it within myself and learning things within myself, so that I'm able to have an observation of what there is. I'm just sharing it with you. You decide how you are thinking on this. Okay. And so far, from the beginning of my video up till this point, I've not given you anything to make you feel like you are needing to submit to it through fear. All I've been doing is share information on the explanation of how we need to observe metaphysically. Sheer will to try to dominate through fear of death is what affects the realm, and that even that in itself energizes it. It's like the Walking Dead or evil clowns that torment you. I've posted a music video on my community tab to explain and to give you a leading up to the information that is on this video, on this current one. It's not about the music video, it's about the information in the music video. You can look at something without it consuming you. You can do that. It is possible. And because of that, because you're aware of your spirit, this makes you something of a type of food source. Okay, that is how they see you. Okay, because of that information, this is why this information is vital to understand. This is why I made a statement about loving yourself and loving yourself, and the more you love yourself, and you've done something good for yourself, that something bad happens straight afterwards that punishes you for loving yourself. Because if you love yourself, it's not because you did anything wrong. It's because of the consensus around you that do not love itself, that wants to. If you love yourself, you're gonna leave me. You're gonna go away from me, and I can't feed on you. So I do not want you to love yourself, because if you love yourself, then I don't have any food, because it means you've just closed your bubble off, to put it like that. You've just closed your house and you've shut everything down, and you are in control of your home, your house, your dominion, your domain, your temple, however you want to look at it. You have shut the information, you've shut the doors down, you've closed the windows down, You've battened the hatches. You are in control of who you are. You are remaining stable within who you are. And the stronger you become in this, the stronger your information, the energy is within you for your spirit to change the frequency around you. That is how it works. That is how it works. There is a way that we are able to protect ourselves from it. Like I've said before, it is also in the psychic protection video. It's an old video. It was the most simplest video that I had made, because it was the most direct and clear information on how to protect yourself. That you can do, but the stronger you become in your spirit, the less you can become touched by it, the more you become untouchable by it. Then the reality around you starts looking at you like you're some sort of rogue agent. But then when you notice that, you go even deeper inside of yourself and you focus to even more of who you are, and you connect even more with love and care for yourself, for what you've achieved, for who you are, for what you do, that you've actually done good things. You're not just some loser. You've done this, you've done that. And the more you do that, that starts to go away as well. That does eventually leave you. It just stops from trying to interact with you. This is what's so important, is that all the energy that is discussed here, and its purpose is to dismantle and destroy things that are essentially trying to derail you. So this is why this channel is so unique, and I keep saying it. It is exceptionally unique because it is operating from within. I don't see any other channel that is able to explain and present information from an internal, unique, individual perspective. I'm not selling myself at all. I'm telling you as a fact, that is what it is. And so whatever it is that we are working with, that we are trying to resolve, it is dissolved by the end of the video. It is completely dissolved. In a nutshell, is the picture that you're seeing a three-dimensional triangle, a pyramid, or a blue light in the corner of a room or square? The more you do this, the stronger you become, the more control you have around you. They don't like that. But if you keep doing it, you will change the frequency so radically and so drastically, it'll feel as if you're in a different world. We are now unboxing the trapezoid, which they don't like, because once the trapezoid is unboxed, it cannot be closed down and the house is burning down. The realm in its events, and its events are based on patterns, which becomes images or symbols that are superimposed through the lens of the trapezoid. Not a physical trapezoid. The frequency of the energy that they use is based on an image that is dead, but they give so much stock and focus on it that it becomes something of a totem. This is why I'm saying you need to start thinking in this way, that you're able to recognize the hyperdimensional view. So here's an example. When you look deeper, focus on, when you look deeper into things, you have hyperfocus into this realm. You then see the image of the event or data or belief system of what is perceived and is not the same as what you thought it would be. If you look at this image and then you look at that image, the same picture gives two different meanings. It is explained to be the same thing, and yet it does not look the same, because they have two different meanings to it. And this is why it's important to understand metaphysics as a tool for understanding deeper, to observe and see how to observe this image, which is showing to you the top side versus all sides, When you understand metaphysically, you will see that symbol. And that symbol is the complete symbol for that thing. So, for the pyramid. Because of the way that the reality or the realm operates, you cannot not see that pyramid unless you are truly, you cannot develop your consciousness in that way. But all sides visible and invisible allows you to see its metaphysical perception. That's it. You see the whole thing now if you're thinking in a metaphysical form. Okay. Now, this doesn't mean, and this is just an example of the pyramid, it doesn't mean that every other image that you now try and create a mirror from is the same thing. It's how you must think. Okay, it's how you must think that you will be able to see it. Knowing that what you are seeing is a triangle, in the previous example, is recognized to have three-dimensional sides, which is based on material realm dynamics. That's it. So this image is also called a source image, okay, of the pyramid. So that triangle is the source image of the pyramid. This is why it's important to be careful to announce what source you pray to, okay? Because the Vatican building, okay, is an image of what it represents to the people around it. It's a church, it's a this, it's a that, and oh, they've even done certain things in blah blah blah. But what is it really? What is it metaphysically? Well, metaphysically, it's actually a giant wormhole. Because, and why do you say it's a giant wormhole? I'm saying it's a giant wormhole because it is built in the form of a funnel that looks like a pitchfork. Outside the towers, the spires looks like forks that actually draw the energy in and siphons it into the building. And underground, they have all these tunnels and little rooms that are underground. So what else is it other than that it looks like it's a giant funnel that sucks energy in and uses it and projects it out through the pitchfork? That's metaphysical explanation for that place. So the relativity in terms of that image and then thinking about it and then observing it and using your spirit to be able to establish, using your gifts to be able to understand and relate to what you're seeing, is also based on relativity. And that's another thing that we need to be careful of, because relativity is related to the position of that image where you are in relation to it. That's really the simple part of it. Relativity in relation to your position is illuminated in light. It always is, so that there is a continuous frequency of light around it for you to either give light to or give or receive light from. And when I say light, I'm referring to light as an energy source that relates to ether, because ether is around you all the time. And this is why I explained the luminiferous ether. Luminiferous ether is the reflective light that is perpetuated from outside of the torus and inside of the torus. So there's continuous light that interacts with itself. Okay. The luminiferous ether is just a description of the way that the ether operates, particularly when it is touched or when it connects with the torus. Where does the luminiferous ether originate from? Where does the light source come from? The light source is from even beyond that, and from it radiates energy and touches the torus. The torus lights up. It's like lots of mirrors that are lit up by light that pumps light back into the torus, to put it like that. And it's not coming from the sun. The sun is not outside of the torus, okay? That source of light originates from the original creative force, which is light, limitless, infinite light, which because it gets to the Taurus, which is a created thing, yeah, which is a created thing to ascertain things inside. So it's like someone that's shining a light from the outside into a magnifying glass. The magnifying glass is like showing up all these things inside of this little petri dish. That's basically what it is. The ether around that source of light becomes luminiferous ether, because that is secondary to reaching the Taurus, which is tertiary, and then the last would be inside of the system overlay. That's how you would need to think. Unfortunately, there are people that have lost completely the plot and thinking about the word luminiferous ether, and they were actually trying to punish me because they thought I was presenting stuff on Lucifer, which is actually quite funny, because that's how stupid they were when they didn't understand the information. I can pick up on these things. The more spiritually connected you become within yourself, the more you can see everything in the realm. You can see everything. You can see the past, present, and future all at the same time, and you can see people and how they react and respond to things. So every deep stuff video, based on every deep stuff that I've done up until now, forms a bigger picture for you to see the entirety of the whole thing. That's why this video is specific, and why it may be a lengthy one, where it took time to explain in the first half of the video what metaphysics is, how to think in a metaphysical way, and how to perceive things and to not become sucked into it. So these are very detailed things to consider, to think about when you're going through your awareness. Energy, in which lux is a word for light. In terms of energy, lux would be understood as related to the potency of energy in terms of wisdom, knowledge, self-care, and awakened energy within the self. This information is not related to ascension shit. Okay, it's got nothing to do with new age crap. This is pure metaphysical science information here. Okay, so lux is the unit for or of something of illuminance or luminous flux per unit area, and this is from Wiki to explain the word lux for you. In the international system of units, it is equal to 1 lumen per square meter in photometry. This is used as a measure of the intensity as perceived by the human eye, or light that hits or passes through a surface. Hence, ether is permeated. It can be permeated with light. It does not just reflect. The etymology for the understanding of lux is, it means it is a hypothetical source of or evidence for its existence. Lux, therefore, is reference to energy in frequency and how frequency is absorbed or distorted. Okay, I've already said that because of the way that the Taurus functions around the system or the realm, that it has within it trapezoids, because that's how you look at it directly, and that is skew, and that is why things are skewed in this realm. So you're really looking at a light show, like I've said so many times, where it requires a lot of magicians to uphold the magical illusion. So the Temple of Lux is really then the Temple of Follies. Let me explain to you the Taurus, the metaphysical meaning for the Taurus quickly. Must be understood as a model in which the realm exists within, and it is not based on flat earth, it is not based on domes or anything like that, or spherical even, okay? The metaphysical understanding for the Taurus is based on the perception in which mankind observes himself within a realm which is built or manufactured continuously. Constantly it's being rebuilt. Light builds, then also becomes refracted, and refraction of light, as mentioned in my last video, These are the following ones where I explained about it, is the Bliksem or Thunder one, the Sacrifice in the Name of the Image, and Luminiferous Ether is like cut glass. Very important. Go through those videos and you'll understand the meaning of this video. When you see this image, it explains to you the tiny little the trapezoids that are in it, and this is how people look at things. Every interaction to and with the field of energy surrounding you folds energetically around you, becomes part of you, and you become part of it with your consent. And your energy often enough becomes woven into or seeps into the actual movement of around you. So this is why some people equate this process as going through the pendulums as well. I don't think it's pendulums. I think it's actually the frequency of the energy that folds around you, and if you give consent to it or not. Sometimes if you have very low self-esteem or you don't feel very excited about yourself, then it can run with you, and you'll be stuck on it until you're able to get control of yourself again. That does happen. These are forces of compression and decompression, magnetic, etc., dielectrics that keep moving around you. If people are focused on a specific thing or an event, then it is infecting the frequency around them, and that affects you if you allow it to affect you, of course. And so the conceptual model for this realm is based on the torus field surrounding the field of energy called the system overlay, and this is crystalline like, as it represents light in material manifestation continuously, hence the flickering of light. Okay, and so luminiferous ether is energetic frequency of light penetrating through the many small plates of the torus skin. As you can see, I've just shown you that image of the little diamonds that are in that skin. You'll have seen it in the last deep stuff with Beyond Thunderdome, which is very important. I keep saying go back there to study it, understand it. This is how the system operates. The magnetic and dielectric and compression and decompression, it's creating these little waves. It's like slipstreams. They crisscross over one another. Okay, and that is what forms the trapezoid. That's it. That's basically it. And so the diamond shape flat image becomes then used because people must have seen this in their hyper focus on things, and hence so it became an image for worship, because that's how it works. And based on that principle, we'll now look at what has been used to operate within that diamond shape or the trapezoid. Like I explained, the trapezoid is also three-dimensional because you're looking at a flat diamond shape which becomes a trapezoid because you look deeper into it, and so you'll see the trapezoid in it. So on the flat surface, one-dimensional only, you'll only see, most likely people seem to be talking about the same thing when they go on these psychedelic trips, when they see this sacred geometry. The sacred geometry is part of it. It's part of the frequencies that form these things. It's how you are inside of you that keys into those things. So it shows you what is inside of you to you, back at you all the time. So if you have a different frequency inside of yourself, you may not see the sacred geometry. You may see something else. You may actually see something deeper, and as opposed to being struck by that frequency, because that's really the star-struck. The trapezoid is formed out of two triangles. One is in the light, which is illuminated by luminiferous ether, which you see, and the top also, and it appears to be light, or lit up, or white. Okay, while the bottom part is inside of the realm and forms a projection into the material reality. bottom pyramid is black because you do not see it, because it is the shadow or darkness as it is appeared flatly. So it works on the same principle as the white sun above and the black sun which is below. As above, so below. One is the mirror of the other, but the one that is the mirror is polarized from the other one. Okay, so the trapezoid is essentially the same thing. It is the temple of light that you see at the tip of the diamond, which is skew. Okay, you see the tip of the diamond, and that tip is also perceived as the capstone, because that whole image of that pyramid with the capstone is formed or built on that pattern, on the diamond. Okay. The capstone is also the triangle of art, A-R-T, art, in which the philosopher's stone is enmeshed, and I'll explain to you now. So the triangle of art, which is a symbol for invocation, also called hyper ritual, is a method for impregnation, is the so-called charge with magic volts. Using this, for this purpose, the electromagnetic fluid, the volt is charged and after its creation with an electromagnetic fluid. So you can already see what's being used to worship. You're looking at the worship of light and whatever symbol is used to help generate light source comes from, unfortunately, spirits, disincarnated spirits, people that have passed away because they have a natural light inside of them. So that thing is the same as the Solomon's keys that have the ring as the ring. Okay, so the qualities of the intelligence in question are concentrated into the center of the vault, which is obsidian, by help of imagination, imperturbable confidence, and sure power, and are so condensed by repeated action that the metal of the talisman absorbs the vault. Where the process of the charging by volts is repeated, the magician has to concentrate on the wish that the intelligence in question is connected to the particular vault, and that it will bring about by it the desired cause in the akasha world, and with them the desired effect. End quote. Okay, this is to use to go into the akashic records, which is inside of the trapezoid. Your akashic records is not outside of you, it is inside of you. It is the moment you start to connect with all of who you are. The moment you do that, the moment you access who you are able to access every information part of who you were. It's not outside of you. Okay, so all those that are talking about the akashic records and the halls and it's library books somewhere, it's bullshit. Okay, it's inside of the trapezoid, which is a field that holds beliefs together. Okay, it's like taking a thing that blows bubbles, and that little bubble inside of that ring, that would be the trapezoid. Okay, and that's how it works. It has to be manufactured. It's manufacturing itself by using spirit. Okay? People who have passed away, disincarnated spirit. And so from the website, I'll cite some more for you. Alright? These guys interfere with the ideas or the beliefs that they have, that they think they have of you. After they try to do that with people that they try to get rid of. They try to read information about them in their supposed records, and those records are false. Okay, they're fake. They're based on your perceptions that you think of that person. Okay, you do not know who I am actually. You have no idea. Um, Only thing that you have of me is what you think you know of me, which is based on your idea or your ideologies that you have of who I am. But if you and I had to sit down and discuss things, you'd get to know who I am more in detail. And the same for myself with you. So I didn't go and find a book outside of myself and go and bring the book and show you. Okay, this is who I am. Read this book and you'll know who I am. You can ask me. Okay, that's how it works. The records of who you are is not outside of you. It is inside of you when you become more aware of who you are. That's why it's so important to know that you are able to access who you are within yourself. All right, so on the website, he writes here, evocation. A human actor evokes an entity and projects it into a defined space, such as the triangle of art in Solomonic evocation. The actor wears an epoch. This is an image from a movie called Ghostbusters, and signals the activation of a robot occupying the same space. The overall effect is of having magically evoked the spirit into the robot body. What other than just doing the same thing by calling in a spirit and putting it inside of a rock and calling it a golem or a clay figure? This is exactly the same thing. They wish to do this. Okay? This is what they want to do. All right? Perhaps, and he continues here. Yeah, actually that's it. I don't feel like reading any further. But the next quote is about invocation, which is it's a project that they were supposedly working on, the author of this website. And just because I'm talking about this, the information on this website, does not mean that I've got an axe to grind with the author of the website. I am discussing his material and I'm critiquing it, and based on my material. The next part here is he writes, the project plays with the idea that what we are on the inside, this is how they screw with you. They say what is on the inside is all, and they say they don't know exactly whether it's spirit or soul, but that it may appear differently to an observer to the outside. So what is inside must be put outside. That is what they keep trying to do, is always just taking your spirit and putting it into something on the outside so that they can say, okay, they're in control of that specific purpose, that thing. But they use that little triangle to do it. It's like a remote for a TV. The author of this website has drafted more details on the subject at hand. It's important to note also that he's used almost every part of the material that comes from the information from Franz Barden's work, which is called the practice of magical evocation, for his background studies. So he didn't do this by himself. He didn't get it from himself. He took it from another person and decided to work on it. So the triangle of art, which is a major magical device used for a myriad of purposes. This is on his website. This means that the triangle of art is used within the material realm, which I'm adding now, and projected into the trapezoid. This also means that in order for you to access your so-called akashic records, like I've just said, that it is really inside of the trapezoid, nowhere else. This artifact is the same as the Solomon's key. So basically, it would be doing the same thing. It's just in a triangular form, and it's got another purpose to it, which means it's controlling one stream of information. It's not receptive of a lot of things coming into it, because remember, circular receives things, and the triangle projects things into something. It's like an arrow, okay? That's how you need to think on it. They have also created the center point as the obsidian stone, which is the very same thing that they've done with the Kaaba stone as well. We will discuss this later. So, which leads us to the next important element to bring up. When spirits leave the mortal material realm, we know that they get siphoned into offices or agencies, such as what was done with the spirits who were trapped in the lesser keys of Solomon. When the spirits were sent to me, when I discussed this, they spoke to me and told me they were essentially people, men, they said living men who once lived, who were sucked in to the ring to be siphoned and put into agencies. Okay. The spirit man told me himself. The triangle of art is the same thing. It's like creating a laser gun though. To taking a spirit from somewhere and putting it inside of there and pointing it to someone and going pew pew pew. That's what it is. Okay. A laser gun. Still uses the spirit of a person. Okay. A person that has lived. Not a entity or a phantom thing that comes floating in the sky and that has this essence of, immortality, which really also blows out the idea of angels. Okay. The only angels that you get are the angles on the way that the light hits you. People do good things for people. Okay. People who are aware of kindness and love and care do good things, do angelic things, if you want to use that word, for another person. People do saintly things for other people. That is how it works. Not some disincarnated thing that's floating there. Worshipping the dead all the time, continuously. The triangle of art is not only the much worshipped capstone, because really that's what it is, but also the philosopher's stone. So it's got two sides to it, okay? One sucks in and the other one pushes out. Shoots and sucks. All these artifacts operate as images, geometrically, for the worship of light and its capabilities to harness spirit. People that are dead, okay? Which is then called the arc of light, A-R-C, arc, the way that light forms an arc, or the ark of the covenant, if you want to put religion into it. Okay, so every trapezoid nested inside of the skin of the Taurus is filled with light. The arc of light is reflective. This light reflects and creates a prismatic radiation into the realm. That rainbow that comes out of the crystal is the refraction of something that is authentic. It's broken up and refracted. It doesn't even go through the correct angle. It's skew. Okay, it's not even direct, it's skew. It's secondhand. It's theft. Spun. That is what it is. The crooked prismatic radiation, because I'm calling it crooked, is also known as the inverted form, inverting light into a rainbow. So you dilute light by breaking it up into rainbow colors. Freaking all kinds of versions of something. Versions of the one thing. You'll find more explanation on this specific subject in the video called At War with Light-Bearing Technology and Bending Light Arc of Crisis. That is how long ago the information has been around. The trapezoid is also the trap for the zoo. Trapezoid, trap the zoo. Or zodiac. The dial in to the zodiac from within and outward as being reflected upon the arc of light. So dialing into that thing lets you become part of it, controlled by the zodiac. If you control the arc of light, then you can control everything and everyone. Okay? If you use that magic. This is why there's like tons of sight on this, and they've kept it really secret so that they don't, not everybody must get to it, because there can only be one There can only be one, right? So manifest whatever you want into this realm. That's what's used. That's what they're hoping to achieve more of, because they keep using the information that they keep bringing up, new information, and they use the dead to do it. They do not use what is inside of themselves, most likely because they're too weak. The philosopher's stone is the exact same thing. It is the exact same thing. Doesn't matter how it is designed or under whose banner it was presented as. It is doing the same thing. It siphons energy from you. The one is siphoning you in the earth, the alchemy, and the other one is doing it's a mirror of the other one that's in the other. That's the triangle of art. That's outside. Outside. It's in that trapezoid, that diamond. It's in there. It's projected in there. It's like the Batman signal, where they project the Batman sign out. The little picture of the Batman is on the light at the bottom here. Out. Just turn it the other way around. That's exactly what's going on here. Okay. You're looking at a bat signal that's pointed to into the realm all the time. So by way of consensus and contracts and agreements, that is how you get either siphoned in or interfered with. You must give consent to thoughts that come to you. So if you look at something that is disturbing and it's all about war and imminent World War 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and freaking forever, wars always happening, imminent danger always happening, and the information, the media is showing this is happening there and that's happening there, and South Africa looks like it's had an apocalypse all the time. It's fake. The philosopher's stone is in the corner of the trapezoid, which is used as a symbol to control birth. Okay? Birth canal. Birth. Once it's supposed to come, once it comes from its original place, its original source, however it comes here, whether it's been here and comes from out of the arc of light, which is the trapezoid, because you don't come from the outside in. If you've been here, there are rules. If you've not worked on yourself, if you've not developed yourself on a spiritual level internally, then when you leave, you will be trapped inside of the trapezoid. You will not go out. You'll be staying in there, in this ring. You'll stay in there. Okay? Hence people, when they come back from their near-death experiences, they say, oh no, they were observing everything and they could see everybody there, and from the ring seats into the circus. There, you get stuck there. You don't get out. If you do not work on yourself, if you do not acquire all of yourself to yourself, then you are stuck here, because there's a part of you that is kept here by way of the philosopher's stone. And I'll explain to you where it matters the most, where it's used the most. So you essentially come into this realm without, and a part of your spirit is sheared off from you. Okay, that's the circumcision. Okay, the spirit is circumcised. The spirit, there's a piece of the spirit that's sheared off. This philosopher's stone is like a blade, okay, that slices a piece of your spirit off as you come here from the forces that draw you into here. You were not put here, okay? You were sucked in here because this is a problem. This is a problem area. That's what happens. And as you come here, a little piece of you gets sliced off and gets kept back and put into the trapezoid, held there. This philosopher's stone, through their spelling, call it your little spark of your spirit, that little foreskin is actually a spark. I'm going to call it a little fire or spark. Where does it go to? Okay, I have to use that as an example. All right, it's kept in the room where it was taken off from. And the room is the hall of Amenti, or the room, the father's house with the many rooms. Sounds like runes, actually. The triangle of art summons the spirit energy. All right, that little piece that was sliced off from you, it's there in the trapezoid. It's not in the ether. It's not floating around. It's there inside of the trapezoid. And the lesser key summons and slots the spirit into energy, into agencies, while the philosopher's stone siphons a part of your spirit. That's a little spark, as per the following diagram, which is what it means, but I'm going to show you what it really is. Okay, so all the goodies written down on that diagram should tell you exactly what is controlled and what it is that you will supposedly become aware of once they've got hold of that little slice of your that they circumcise that little part of your spirit and keeping it there. So you'll get this if you let us slice a piece of your spirit off. It was not done by your consent. This is if you're completely brand new, or not completely brand new. This is if you're coming in from the outside in, okay? I'm not talking about those that have been living here and they've been repeating themselves from out of the arc of the light or the corner stone of the trapezoid. Let me use an example to show you what I'm saying. Okay, so here's the trapezoid, all right? That's what it is. It's a trapezoid. This is what you see as the diamond shape, okay? This is what I keep talking about. The top part there is the cornerstone. Because it's skew like this, you'll see it as an arc of light, because light hits it at that angle, and it projects out. All right? And a little piece of your spirit stays inside here, and there's a lot of them in the skin of the Taurus. All right, so there's one for everyone that has come here. And when you don't work on yourself in the realm here, you don't work on yourself, you just keep going into the material realm. When you die, you go in there and you come back out again. You don't go anywhere else. Okay, that's where you are. You're stuck inside that little place, and that is your mansion, that is your little domain. All right, that's not mine. Okay, I'll tell you now that you are able to gather that little particle away from there. You can bring that little spark back to yourself. Some religions call it the all spark. I think you're getting the picture now. Right, so the philosopher's stone, which is based on the same principle, is here in the corner as well, up there like that. Anything that's got the little tip of the triangle, there's your little pyramid, and it's used in there. All right, so this drawing that I'm showing you now, it's done on a wall. And the reason it's done on the wall is because you are a building block. Your spirit is part of the stone that will build the temple, the Solomon's temple. And so the drawing means the following words in spelling, okay? Make of a man and a woman a circle, then a quadrangle, out of this a triangle, make again a circle, and you will have the stone of the wise, which is the philosopher's stone. That's that symbol, all right? Here comes the slice and dice and chopping of pieces of you as you come through here, as you got sucked in here by this freaking wormhole. The simple programming for tying up and shearing off a part of your spirit so that it stays in the trapezoid. Quadrangle just means trapezoid, okay? And here is an image that says 9 quadrangle shapes. So each of these represent a program that holds you by way of also a gateway, or the belief of a gateway, or realm as you enter into the realm. The philosopher is also a tool for, the philosopher's stone is also a tool for energy to power up images through which people worship or give their lives to in lieu of safe passage, or safely in the arms of whatever savior as they go back out again. So they go through that little thing again. All right, saying if you do not make the effort on working on where you are, on who you are yourself, if you do not understand, if you don't connect with all of your parts, if you don't call all the parts back from all the old timelines that you've lived and had contracts with, you will be missing that little spark from you. You didn't know that you've missed that part of your spark, but you always feel a yearning for something. You just always miss that part of yourself. But it's because that little piece of spirit energy that was taken away from you, that little foreskin that was circumcised off of your consciousness, is kept away from you so that you will live to try and get to it. Don't do it. Let it come back to you. Let it come to you. And this is why you're on this channel, because this is where we are breaking open these gates and burning down the houses and breaking the tower down and collapsing the house of cards. Literally. With every word that is spoken here, this is what happens. If you have connected within yourself, your that little piece of energy will come to you. You may feel sad when you connect with it, and when you've connected with it, it will have broken through and come straight back into your energy, and you will become whole. Wholeness means nothing can be added to you or taken from you without your consent. All of what needs to come to you comes to you. They want to stop you from being united with that part that they believe is your divinity. Meanwhile, you are divine within yourself. You are divided by their words. They call you divine, which means they have divided the vine. They have cloven it open so that it doesn't touch you again. You, on the other hand, are able to bring it back together again by bringing it back together in your consciousness again, by coming back together to yourself, calling yourself towards yourself, so that you are able to bring that part of yourself back into yourself, away from the trapezoid, away from the diamond. Okay. Coincidentally, there is a massive focus on diamonds and the diamond industry by these people, and I wonder why. I'm just gonna leave it there, just as a random. Okay, so people are kept continuously busy with beliefs, ideas, splitting hairs, criticizing other people, hurting other people, so that those people cannot love themselves anymore. They cannot be on their direction, and as they say, the North Node, which is your North Star, which is just a figurative speaking. As I said, it's completely and 100% possible to gather that particle back to yourself, away from them, away from their magical shit that they've tried to keep spirits in. And it is a fact that light always meets light, then so will the spark come back to you and meet up with you. You will meet together, you will meet up. It is how you connect with that part. Okay? The rules are, if spirit is light, then light connects back to light and always will be and always shall be. It just depends on what the frequency is of the spirit and the light to begin with. You regulate the frequency inside of here. So the frequency is important. Your frequency is unique to you. It's important to you. What and how you are and feel about yourself has to resonate to the exact key or frequency from within you, so that you are able to connect or dial in. Let's use the word dial in to getting your little sparkle back to you. Okay, your little follicle, or your little the foreskin, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I don't have a word for it. I don't want to give it a word. It's a part of your spirit that's severed from you that has to come back to you. Okay, and some people have lived without it um, feeling that nothing touches them. They don't need to have that to worry about, because they are perfect on their own. And those are the ones that go back into the trapezoid every time when they die. So yeah, the subjective reality is the subjective reality is here if you are in the if you are a subject of that specific faith or belief or religion. Another one is another excellent example of the negative and the positive, which is the white and the black, is the Kaaba as well. The Kaaba black, as you know, here there are two towers behind it, which is the part of inside of the it is the bottom part of the cornerstone. It is the square, which is black. Here, where it's white square, is inside of the trapezoid. It is inside of the diamond. And another religious artifact, as I've said, such as the Kaaba stone, is black in this realm because you see it in here. This is the proverbial underworld. Okay, it is black in your metaphysically speaking. It is the underworld. All right, here, because everything that is topside is inside of the trapezoid, which is inside of the Taurus skin. Okay, I don't know how to explain this better. I hope you just think on this. And because it's white, one is inside of the philosopher's stone. So this is a thing that helps with the shearing off, okay, of the spirit here, as well as out there, in there, wherever, inside of the philosopher's stone. The Kaaba is the square part in the philosopher's stone drawing. The constant repetition of walking around it in white robes is to draw a white line around the circle to say the magical words. To say the magical words. Make of a man and a woman a circle. Make of a man and a woman a circle. Was or is or always as prayer for business. Make of a man and a woman a circle. Continuously. Can I give you part of my spirit some more so that I can have good business? So that I can feed the jinn who look after me? Can I do this, do that? Not everyone that is doing this is aware of it, okay? So this is not, again, this is not critique against a particular movement. This is me or critical against them. This is the information that is available that we are discussing, okay? The Kabbalah, the Sephirot, as seen here, forms the trellis over the entire structure. You could call it as decking the halls with pillars and lights and fancy things, and just putting it all out there inside of this big building. It is also the trapezoid, so forms the trellis over the entire construct within the trapezoid or hall of Amenti. It does, however, the same thing, exactly the same thing. It just keeps you busy inside. It's like a pinball machine. It gives the direction of which the pillars are placed within as balls, which are let's call it rooms with lights to move into. Okay, if you look at those balls, those are rooms, and those long lines, those are passages inside of a giant diamond shaped or trapezoid. The snake on the cross, the snake that is black because it's curling up into the through the Sephiroth, which is actually here. Okay, it is the same as the Kaaba. It is black. It is here because it is in the material. What is outside or above it or in the trapezoid is white. Okay, the pillars are there. All right. And it also is happenstance, the way that light is shone into the trapezoid as light bounces from pillar to pillar to pillar, pillar to post, so light moves in the same way. And the light curves back. So, run through the gauntlet and then come all the way back in here again. Come live in this realm again, because you don't know anything better than that. Like I said, it looks like a giant pinball machine. Okay, So now, based on all of the information that I've just presented to you, I do hope that this gives you some indication as to the seriousness of the subject at hand, and for you to understand what the trapezoid actually means inside of the skin of the Taurus. Until next time, bye.